Okay, so we just finished going, so this is the one that from very beginning, the reciprocal identity, quotient identity, sine squared plus cosine squared equal to 1, but you gotta see this part. This part is, they are identities. If it's an identity, if A plus B equal to C, but B is also equal to C minus A. So I can move the sine squared theta to the other side. In love with the cosine squared, I can solve cosine squared. Does this make sense? I can subtract both sides by sine squared. I'm going to get cosine squared theta equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. And the same thing, I can subtract both sides by cosine squared theta. It's going to give me this two new equation. This is identity as well, but it's kind of like hidden under here. So there are two other equations that's hidden under here too. So it will be what? 1 is equal to cosecant squared theta minus cotangent squared theta. Yeah. Same thing as here, you're going to have two things that are hidden here. So total there was 9 equations here. But you don't have to use all 9. You only need to write down this for the quiz, this for the quiz, this for the quiz. Prove it to get this equation. So you don't have to memorize. All the way here, CSO, SMS, this all not memorizing. So you look at there, sine of 2 theta equal to 2 sine theta cosine theta. Then I'm going to prove to you what is it. So I'm going to take this function. I have it right here. Where did I run this so far? So I can take this function again. I'm going to show you why they are 2 sine theta cosine theta here. So what I'm going to show you is 2 theta. 2 theta is composed of what? 2 apples is composed of what? Apple and apple, right? 1 apple plus another apple. Does that make sense? So can I write down this? Can I say, hey, this is a proof part. You don't have to write the proof part on the quiz, but this is the proof how you can easily remember this. So sine of 2 theta is equal to sine of theta plus theta. Now if it's 2 angles add together, which one I can use? Sum and difference, right? Which sum and difference I'll be using? A plus B, right? So A plus B, that's equal to what? Well, sine of theta, cosine of theta, plus sine of theta, and cosine theta. And that becomes 2 sine theta and cosine theta. And we just prove this one.
How's that not 2 cosine theta?
What?
How is it 2
Why
sine
is it
theta?
only 1?
Because they both are just like x and y, right? X, y, right? So if I end up together, it's 1xy, 1xy is 2xy.
What about the cosine?
That's what you just said.
Sine theta cosine.
It affects both.
Yeah, it's both.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Oh, so the, okay.
Okay, so now we just prove this one here. We say, yeah, that's done. Perfect. Can I do the same thing for 2 theta? For cosine? Absolutely. Try it. See if you get this. Try it with the cosine 2 theta. That means cosine theta plus theta, right? Try it. Try to see what happens. So try here, cosine of theta plus theta. So it's not actual memorization. It's actually something we already know. Ariana, are you paying attention? Did you get the same thing?
Yeah.
It's not memorization. You think about memorization, you say, oh, all this formula, this is crazy, Mr. Ye is crazy. Ask me to remember all this formula without math composed of letters. They are just math. So it'll be cosine of theta, minus sine theta, and that's equal to cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta, and that's it. Boom, done. Now, double angle for cosine, there is BI, BII, BIII. Like I is like a kind of bullet points, you know. So there were 3 different ones for cosine 2 theta, but they are derived from somewhere. We already did the BI, which is this part. This is a part that. Where's my purple marker?
So smart.
So this is what you need to put on your test, on the quiz. Now, how about this one? How do I get this one? I'm going to take this functions, right? I'm going to replace the sine squared theta with something else. What do I mean by replacing? Is I don't like sine squared theta. I want it in terms of cosine. So what I do if I in terms of cosine? I can take this function right here. Can I substitute it? I even color-coded for you. But you had to put a parenthesis around it. If I color-code for you, so this is a cosine, the same thing, right? Minus, this is sine squared theta. I don't like sine squared theta. I want it in terms of cosine. So this in terms of cosine, so it's going to be 1 minus cosine squared theta. I just replace that. And I had to shoot you the negative sign. And I simplify it. That becomes 2 cosine squared theta minus 1. That becomes a second form of BII, which is double angle formula for the second one. And of course you can do the same thing for the cosine. There's a cosine squared plus sine squared. Again, it's double angle formula. I don't replace the sine, I replace the cosine this time. Then that's going to be 1 minus sine squared theta minus sine squared theta is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. Now, I don't believe anybody is going to calculus 2 in this room. In case if you are, you need to worry about this part. It's called power reducing. Power reducing formula is actually get it from the BII and the BIII. You get it from those 2 equations and you solve for cosine squared theta. You see this is the double angle formula, right? I can solve for sine squared theta. That means I'm moving this to move this to this side, move this to this side, and divide by both sides by 2. I got this one. And if you want to get extra credit, it's right there. But that's for people that go into HL math or Calc 2, because not everybody in IB. And the people can go that strong here in this classroom to go to Calc 2 will be Amelia, Bo, Jeremy, Sophia, both Sophia squared.
Oh my god. That was the cordiest thing ever.
Nicole. Okay, so those of you guys can go to Calc 2. And those are the things that you have to know for power reducing, because sometimes you have to take integral of cosine squared, then you have to find a way to reduce to the first degree, because this is the second degree. The second degree, you cannot take an integral of that function. You have to change to the first degree that only have first degree there, and then you can solve for it. Question about this part? Okay, now we're going to talk about these questions here. This is a sum and difference formula. And a nice thing is this, I actually color code this for the first time. So I'm going to start with the questions. This is the questions here.
He's erasing the answers.
I'm going to go over it. So, can the iPad see the whole board?
Yes.
Everything?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one of the hardest questions in sum and difference formula, but it's just very easy to make mistakes. So when you go through those questions, you gotta be cautious of what you're doing. If you be cautious of what you're doing, then everything is gonna be so easy. So let's start by looking at the question. So I'm gonna erase this part too, because later on we're gonna add this part. This is the original question. Suppose sine of A is equal to 12 over 13 for a quadrant 2, angle A. And suppose I have sine B is equal to 3 over 5 for a quadrant 1, angle B. So suppose I have this. Okay? Then we say, hey, can you find exact value for cosine A, cosine B, cosine A plus B, sine of A plus B, and can you find all this information? So suppose that you have all this information, you say, okay, so let's review the question. How many angles are they? 2. What are those 2 angles? Angle A and angle B. Then you say, okay, that's a good start. It was at angle A and angle B, and I need to find out whatever information that's given to me. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit further too. So then you say, I got this. Now, I'm going to do a prep work. The prep work is the hardest part because prep work, you cannot make a simple mistake. If prep work is done properly, the answer is going to be done properly as well. So the prep work is here. I'm going to use the A that is in red marker. So I'm going to show you the information about A. So here's a prep work where I will prepare this questions. So prepare prep work for A. Then what I'm going to do is, what's your intuition when you have sine A equal to 12 over 13? What's the prep work is I'm talking about? Can you give me some type of idea? What should I start with that? And they also says for angle in quadrant 2. So the key part is quadrant 2. So how is that suppose helping you here? Yes.
It's bigger than 90 but less than 180.
Okay, it's bigger than 90, less than 180. Okay, so good. So this is the quadrant, right? So at this quadrant here, what do I have?
Would you do the butterfly thing?
Yes, the butterfly thing.
And then
The butterfly thing is called what? Reference triangle, right? Reference triangle. So you gotta be careful with this one though, because this one has some trap that you can fall into it. So I'm gonna use a random point here, arbitrary point on the quadrant A. Prefer is a little bit out here. And the one gonna draw one line to the origin. One line is perpendicular to x-axis, to the x-axis. I got this nice graph here. And I say, okay, what is 12 and 13 representing? What is 12?
Opposite.
Okay, so this is the angle A, right? This must be opposite. Thank you, Asia. So I hear that. 12. And what is 13, Jacqueline? What's 13? This is, we did 12, but what is 13? What is 13? Jacqueline? Hypotenuse, good, 13. Okay, so we're missing one side, right? So here's the thing. Can you guys tell me what that side is?
oh, you want us to find it?
Yeah, can you find it?
Yeah.
You're getting that answer?
I will tell you what answer is not though, Kevin.
It's
It's not 5.
Oh,
It's negative 5. But I'm going to show you here why it's negative 5. Look, pay attention. If I use Precalculus identity, right? So I'm going to have 12 squared plus, this is y, right? We're going to say x squared is equal to 13 squared. X squared equal to 13 squared minus 12 squared, which is equal to 169 minus 144. That's equal to 25. X squared is equal to 25. Now, if I solve for x, what will happen?
Plus or minus 5. You get 5.
Plus minus 5. So there are two options. But if you look this, it's on the left side of x-axis. Thinking about coordinate, this is composed of positive, positive. This one is positive, negative. Oh no, sorry, negative, positive. And this one's negative, negative. And this one is positive, negative. So on this side, how many of you guys says 5? It's not 5. Look at the triangle before you determine it's positive and negative. That's a very crucial step. And you end up screwing up everything because of the damn triangle. Right? So then you gotta make sure this is negative 5 because you got two options here. Positive 5 or negative 5. When you look at this, you have to think. That's on the left side of the quadrant. It's below, then the y is gonna be negative also. But the hypotenuse is always positive because hypotenuse is a distance from origin. Has nothing to do with x-axis. So this is the coordinates. This is a coordinate. 13 is the hypotenuse, so that's why it's always positive. So that makes sense? So now this is the red marker. Now we're gonna go with gray marker because we're talking about B. So can you do the prep work for B? Which quadrant is it? You'll love to have quadrant 1 because you don't have to deal with the nonsense of negative signs. Because they're both positive, right? Sometimes it could be tangent is negative, so you gotta be careful. Oh, wrong side.
Yeah, I was like,
This one is here. This one is gonna be 3. And this one is gonna be 5. So it's 3, 4, 5 triangle. I don't need to work, but it's positive 4. I gotta make sure that's positive 4 next time. It is positive 4 because it's quadrant 1. So this one is what? This one is sine B is equal to 3 over 5. Okay, so now this is the angle B. Ratio don't go. Don't go. Let me finish before you go.
we have 6 rooms.
I don't care. Cosine A. So what is cosine A? Well, cosine A is, this is angle A. So what the cosine A is?
negative 5 over 13.
Negative 5 over 13. So good. Negative 5 over 13. So that is A. So it'll be negative 5 over 13. And what's the next one? 4 over 5. Good. Now this one, just rewrite it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down cosine. So it'll be double angle for cosine. So it'll be cosine, cosine, sine, sine. Does that make sense? And this one is minus sign because it starts with a plus. And then we're going to have red first. A, and green, B. Okay, so A, cosine A. So here's to make your life easier. I will write this next to here. I will say this one is going to be sine of A is equal to 12 over 13, and cosine B is going to be, so this one's B. So sine B is equal to 3 over 5. Okay? So then I'm just write out everything. So it'll be cosine A, cosine B, sine A, sine B. So cosine A is what?
Negative 5 over 13.
Negative 5 over 13. So that's in red. So it's negative 5 over 13. And cosine B is what? 4 over 5. And then minus sign. And then what is sine A? What is it? 12 over 13. And the sign B is what? 3 over 5. And then you just work out a math. This one's multiply each other. So if you multiply each other, it's going to be minus 20 over 65. And that's minus 36 over 65. And that's equal to minus 56 over 65. Now, your homework, you gotta check your answer today. Make sure if you got a wrong answer, go back, figure out if you do a reference triangle wrong. Maybe something sign's wrong because you're on the wrong quadrant. Same thing for this one, sin A. So, sin A, cosine, sin. And this is a plus. And then this is A is this, right? And the B is this. So sin A, just had to make sure you got copy down. So this is the easy part. This sin A is cosine B. What is sin A? 12 over 13. So it'll be 12 over 13 times cosine B is what? 4 over 5. Am I doing okay? Plus, what is cosine A? Negative 5 over 13. And sin B is what? 3 over 5. So that's equal to 48 over 65 minus 15 over 65, left with 33 over 65. And that's my final answer. This is my final answer. And that's it. Huh? It wasn't that hard, but the hardest part is this. Sometimes you get tangents positive, but it's on third quadrant. What happens if you have tangent is positive? Tangent is theta is equal to 12 over 5, and then they are in third quadrant. Then you gotta say, okay, let's draw a triangle right here. This one is what? 12, right? And this one's 5. And you're like, wait, this is positive, but that doesn't make sense. And this one should be negative, because 12 over 5 is positive. Negative 12 over negative 5 is also positive. So sometimes you're gonna get in a situation that you might have to think a little bit. So situation not related to this question, this is by itself. So sometimes you have to think, which quadrant do they belong to? Draw the quadrant when you draw a reference triangle. Please draw the quadrant, because some people they do like this. I have no idea which quadrant are they. And that's why you get a wrong answer, because you don't do the damn quadrant. Excuse my language. That's not even the worst language, has it?
You say shit over there.
Shh, don't say on internet.
That's just who.
I say ass. That's a
Don't
donkey.
say that on the internet.
Ass means donkey.
I like that wasn't safe.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just angle side. I don't know if you guys talk about.
Yeah, why did you say that?
That word trick. Come on, guys.
Angle side.
Come on, guys. Angle side. Let's do the breaks. Let's do angle side.
What? It's Elmo's world.
Can you send me that picture?
It's green. It's Elmo's world. I love Elmo. What? Elmo is the dumb. Elmo is hot.
Hey, Deborah.
Yes.
Give it today's homework first. So that way you can take a picture so you can really do it today. Don't know if you're gonna do it, but it's enough. You will do it. 6.
I might surprise you tomorrow.
Yeah, mine's supposed to be.
You'd be like,
So, just all the odd numbers, 57, 59, 61, 63.
Any other page?
And that's it. Oh no, answer is right here. 57. So 57, the answer was 57. Okay, the answer is all right here. You don't need to do a tangent. It has a tangent a plus b, but don't do tangent.
Okay.
Are you on drug again? Man, your eyes is always red.
They just have it red.
Huh?
Because I don't sleep enough, I have it red.
Are you sure you don't do drugs?
Of course.
Look me in the eyes. I don't do drugs.
Drug bad.
You came and looked me in the eye. That's bad.
Nah, I don't drink. I promise. I promise.
You came and looked me in the eyes and said
I don't. I did my homework. Anything in the grade first?
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that zero stay there though. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
I just failed that chemistry test. Like I got a 4 out of 16. I tweaked.
Check right now.
You want to know why? Because instead of studying, I was watching your video. I'm dedicated. And I did your homework too. You're welcome.
That test was something
It didn't
else.
make sense. His questions were stupid.
My grade isn't even yeah, my grade wasn't even that low, but like compared to every other like the AP practice, I never missed a single question. I got one wrong. And I got a 12 out of 16.
You talking about AP exam?
For
Yeah, you see AP
the AV.
I don't know. He
I
told me to.
memorized the chart 5 minutes before
You were
class.
shut up.
You see
He
this?
told me to.
So stressful.
Besides that.
I
I was like,
didn't
I
understand
asked him
what I
the science, he's like, you want to take AP chemical next year? I was like,